Hello and welcome back to the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Adam.
Adam's back again.
I'm back.
Yay! We're gonna try to have some fun with this. Not try to. See, I'm a little rusty too. We're gonna have some fun with this. Our last one we did was Night, and we wanted to do the original Dead trilogy. So now we're on to Dawn of the Dead. I was just telling Adam I'm gonna try to change it up a little bit because I felt like I was like almost doing too much or whatever. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We might randomly have a visitor because my son's still awake, but we'll make do. So the current for this episode, like I said, is for Dawn of the Dead, and I'll just go through some random facts. I won't go into too much because, I mean, if you're a horror fan and you're listening to the podcast, I would think Dawn of the Dead is one that's a little kind of more well known than, say, some of the other ones that we've done. So
Yeah.
But to start with, of course, the classic tagline, or I don't even know if you call it a tagline. It was more a line in the movie, but it's basically a tagline. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. One of the greatest lines in movie history.
It's so good.
Definitely. There's just so much great stuff about this movie, and I definitely want to start with saying, I think I mentioned it in the Night one, but Dawn of the Dead is my favorite horror movie. But then after rewatching, as I do before the podcast, I also rewatched Day, which we'll probably be doing these back to back. I remember going back and forth because I'm like, okay, so this might not make sense, but if Dawn of the Dead is my favorite horror movie, could Day of the Dead be my favorite zombie movie? Like I guess that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
but it's treading close there because it's still the same.
It's still kind of under the lines of horror.
Right, so it's kind of hard, but yeah, anyway. In the late 1960s, George Romero changed horror cinema history forever with Night of the Living Dead, an instant classic that defined zombie storytelling on the big and small screens for decades to come. Over the next decade, Romero, who was reluctant to revisit the creepy world of shambling corpses, he brought to life. He tried other things. Like, he did a romantic movie called There's Always Vanilla. He did like a witch movie called Season of the Witch. He did The Crazies. He did a human living vampire movie. I guess that's what the vampire people call it. I'm not huge into vampire movies, but I love Martin. But he eventually came back because, let's face it, as he realized, I think once he did Dawn of the Dead, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I have fun with other movies in between time, but I'm the zombie guy. And and he is. He just really is.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much time passes or anything like that. I mean, it's hard to deny that fact. The idea for the film came when George Romero was invited by his friend, Mark Mason, to a backstage tour of the recently completed Morrisville Mall. Mason noted to Romero that this would be a perfect place to hole up during an emergency, which planted the seed for George's next movie. And then I have, I think, between the two of us, we've talked about, we've met George Romero a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I've met, I think you've met Tom Savini, right?
No, I think he was
Okay.
there one year, and I didn't actually get a chance to meet him.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I was trying to think of other people involved in Dawn of the Dead that you may have met, but pretty much just George.
George, and I want to say Ken Foree, but I'm not positive.
Okay, you could have. I mean, when you were here, we went to a lot of Rock and Shocks and convention stuff, and
they all just kind of.
So it's a good possibility.
Blend, yeah.
I've met Tom a couple of times, as you know. I have met Ken Foree a couple of times. Unfortunately, though, both times I met him, for whatever reason, be it money, be it this or that, at least he's cool. You can still meet him. He's not you know, you can still say hello, but
Mm,
he's the one that I still have not got on my poster because my Dawn of the Dead poster is probably the one I have the most autographs on
mm.
between Tom Savini and George Romero and Galen Ross and who played Francine in the movie. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Scott Reinger, who played Roger. I met him a couple of times, and he has signed it. So quite a few people have signed my poster. So
Nice.
that's definitely one of my prized possessions. Um, but yeah, other little tidbits like Wednesday 13 when he's in the Murder Dolls, he has a song called Dawn of the Dead.
Mm,
Um, and yes, there was a remake to Dawn of the Dead. I won't get too big into that. I remember it's one of those weird things for me. I liked it when I saw it. However, each time I watch it, I remember liking it less. But I'm going to try again. I did buy it on Blu-ray. I'm going to
mm.
try again. I think what initially threw me off over time was I just kind of got like a little burnt out on the fast zombies, and this is a George Romero movie. I know it's a small tidbit, but that is it isn't really like we know how George feels about that. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, other than that, we can kind of dive into the movie.
Cool.
I don't know if there's anything you might have thought of, or anything you've experienced, or anything in between time with meeting people, or any facts that you know of. But other than that, we can go get right into it.
No, the one of the fun things for me is it was filmed in the Monroeville Mall, and it's right
Yes.
outside Pittsburgh, so it's my home.
Oh, nice. I didn't even think of that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, it's like 5 minutes outside the city, really.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
You might have told me that before, but I don't remember.
yeah.
Um, well, I'll get right into the movie. As I said, I watched the extended cut. I remember when I asked you, you weren't sure. You think that might be the cut that you have watched in the past, but you're not 100% sure. We have the same box set, right? Is that what you
Mm,
said? That cool Dawn of the Dead one that was released years and years ago, but it's
yeah,
still it's still the best one. It's just so hard in America to get to the next step, like on Blu-ray. Um,
yeah.
it is being released by Second Sight, which is a gray area for some American people because it is a UK company, so it's B. But there is a 4K set, and as far as I understand, 4Ks are not blocked, or
Oh,
locked.
nice.
So
I didn't
if
know that.
I didn't either, I'm just relaying information. I could be 100% wrong.
Yeah.
But as far as I understand, I was able to get the set pre-ordered. It comes out in October, so I'm really
Nice.
excited for that. But man, and it was so hard to get it to America because of rights and everything. And
Mm,
there's I don't know the guy's name, but somebody in a chat said it that there's a guy that like holds on to those rights like with dear life, and I swear he must be from the UK because that's where you can get it at the moment, and it's almost impossible in America to the point where I ordered it was at diabolic.com if anybody's curious in their horror needs, so to speak, and you can order direct to, but you can order from them. They're really cool.
mm.
They were able to do a limited um, pre-order that was literally a couple of days. Like it was that like they only were able to sell that at like very small amount of copies. So that's what I'm saying. How hard it is in America. I don't understand. It's an American movie, but it's all
Mm.
about rights. So he's gonna try again. If anybody's interested, check out diabolic.com. He said he's gonna try to get a few more copies, but we'll see what happens. I got mine
Nice.
in, so I'm excited. But yeah. Anyway, rambling as always.
Oh, real
We're
quick.
gonna dive. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Diabolic with a K.
With a K. Thank you. I
Yep.
was thinking it as I was
Yep.
saying it, but I didn't say it. So thank
I
you.
just went to the site, and the other one is a porn site. So.
Okay, good call. Thank you.
Yep.
I will say this. I don't know if you can hear him on your end. It's very, I'm very hot where I am, and I have a couple of fans on, so I don't know if that's fucking with the audio or anything, but
Oh, it's
I
not
don't
too
know
bad. I
if you
can hear it,
notice.
but it's not too bad.
It's it's like almost a subtle background noise, sort of.
Yeah, just kind of white noise.
Okay, good. Okay. I can speak up if it gets too loud or anything.
Okay.
But anyway, the movie starts in a news station where you see a woman resting, and everybody is freaking out, and everything's all chaotic, typical human fashion when there's something wrong and people aren't understanding. And then there's like a reporter and a scientist arguing, and again, as I said in other movies, it's reminiscent of current times, as scary as that can be. Luckily, we're not to a zombie apocalypse yet.
Yeah.
I don't. I hope we don't get that far.
Yeah.
Also, in this scene, I wanted to point out that I always thought it was cool that George Romero is at the switchboard for the broadcasting station. And that's his cameo in the movie. He's sitting next to his wife at the time. That was her cameo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. When you watch it again, you'll see it right off.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was his wife though. That's awesome.
Oh, that part. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you know who George is, but yeah. It's possible. But yeah, and basically Galen Ross's character, who we find out later. Actually, I already said her name, but I'm spacing on her name. But we'll get back to that. She wakes up and finds out all the chaos. I love the station manager, I guess I would say, call him, where even in this chaotic situation, he's still caring about ratings, because she's like, you can't send people to those places because those places might not be there. And he's like, but if they're not running at all times, people might turn off. They'll tune out. I'm like, oh my God. Like, you don't, like, you're still, like, I mean, I'm sure it's hard to break that mode, but when there's this much going on, and it's been going on for a little bit,
yeah,
that he's still in work mode, I guess you would say. And then from there, she talks to a camera guy, and he says, "You can." Her husband comes in, and he basically says that you can go. Our job here is finished, and they're just going to stay on the air as long as they can. And that is when we meet her husband, who is affectionately called Flyboy. He has a helicopter, and from there we go to I guess a SWAT team, and they're at a building where a lot of zombie activity is going on. That's where we meet Roger. He is one of the policemen. There's definitely an intense scene there where he's talking to this guy, and this guy's like, he's really new. He's a rookie, so to speak. At least seems it. And Roger's trying to talk him down, like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And simultaneously, the dude gets shot in the head. And that scene is definitely intense because people come out of the building and they're shooting. At that point, there is a cameo of John Amplis, who is peppered through George Romero's movies. He was in Day of the Dead. He was in Creepshow. He played Martin in Martin. He was in Knight Riders, and he has a little cameo there as well. Another thing that I wanted to say was there's definitely, and you'll probably remember this once I say it, there's definitely one of the policemen that is definitely a liability. He a lot of different like races, like black people and things like that, live in this building, and he's very like racist against them. So as soon as they get in the door, he's fucking kicking in doors and just shooting everybody, and they're like, you gotta stop. And I love the scene with like one of the I guess the head guys, or maybe just one of the other cops. They're like, don't go in there, and he does, and there's a scene where Roger tries to stop him, but he does end up getting killed, thankfully. Again, liability. He needed to get out of the way. But once they did open that door, there was a zombie in there, and a guy's trying to shoot him, but he's so startled that he falls over and he trips and everything. And Roger tries to help him, but as chaos more ensues, he ends up shooting himself, and it's just you can just tell on Roger's face that is all hope gone. Like, I don't know what to do here. Like, and it is close to that point where we meet Ken Foray's character. I know I've seen the movie tons of times, and I'm trying to think of his name because I'm just barreling through here. But
Peter.
Peter. Thank you. There you go. Have stuff in front of you in case, like, if you bring up like an IMDb, if I'm like, what's this person's name? Okay, got it. And then I'll get back on the train track.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ends up meeting Peter. When we first meet him, he has a gas mask on, so we don't meet him. But they do end up talking in like downstairs, like laundry room, where they also see a priest that seems to be blind, I believe. And after they talk and they kind of figure out each other's situations, I believe it's Roger that says, "I have a friend that has a helicopter." I think it was Roger, or it might have been Peter. Again, I'm plowing through here, but one of them had mentioned that, and that ties in with Flyboy, and that's how they end up meeting up. But before that, there's definitely a quintessential George Romero scene of just flesh eating and carnage, because there's this room in the building that it's like they seem to lock a bunch of them in, and they're just all eating and everything. And Roger and Peter go in there, and they try to take care of as many of them, if not all of them, as possible. Basically, from there, they, like I said, they mentioned the helicopter, which connects with Fran and David. David is Flyboy's name. That's right. I remembered. From here, we also, it was a priest. That's right. I did say that. And then we go back to Fran or what is his name? Is his name, did I say Steven? Is that his name? What is Flyboy's name? Do you have that?
Steven. Yeah, Steven.
It is Steven. I said David. I don't know why I said David. But anyway, this is when we go back to Fran and Steven as he brings his helicopter down because they're waiting for Roger, and they're getting gas and stuff. And I love how once they meet up and everything, they come across these. I guess they're other police officers. They seem like they're just looting, but I guess in that situation, it's every man for himself.
Yeah.
There is another cameo there of Joe. What is his name? Joseph Pilato, I believe. He played. Oh man. What's the fucking? I hate when I'm blanking here. I'm trying to do this from memory. The dude from the main guy from Day that has all the great lines. The asshole there.
Rhodes.
Rhodes, yes, Rhodes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He has a slight cameo there. I do also like as they're talking, where before they take off, one of the guys is like, "Hey, do any of you guys have any cigarettes?" And they're all like, "No." And then he goes off with his people, and they're on a boat, so they're trying to find whatever they can. I think they mentioned an island. Yeah, that's right, because they're like, "What island?" And they're like, "Any island." And but I like the part where they say, "Oh no, we don't have any." And then pretty much as soon as they get on the helicopter, almost everybody lights up a cigarette. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
However, I guess in that situation, I'm a previous smoker, as much as I hate cigarettes now, and even when I was smoking, as you remember. But
yeah,
in that situation, also, you probably want a ration, and you're not going to give them away to strangers. That's what I would guess.
It's one of those things you feel like you're going to need it at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They proceed to fly through the night into the morning, and Steven almost falls asleep, but he is jousted awake to be woken up now to a scene where it's morning, and we see a bunch of hunters and army and things like that on the ground. And this is kind of what I mentioned in Night. I think Dylan was the one who he heard it. He doesn't know if this is real, but there was like this conspiracy thing, like a little connection there that when they went over, if that was the helicopter we see in Night of the Living Dead when we're on the ground. Like, I don't know if that's true or anything, but it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, fun little theory.
Yeah. And then they land to find gas, but of course they're having trouble. But they're able to find some. Roger fills up as Steven says he's going to see what he can find in, and he goes with Fran. They go separately. They don't find much except like a random zombie. However, there is one of the greatest zombie kills in the movie that's not even done by a person that I always get a kick out of. The zombie that gets the top of his head cut off because of the propeller.
Yes.
That's so cool. I always love that, and it's a great effect. What was another cool thing in this scene that I liked? It's not even important, but the coffee machine that's out of order, and Peter happens to hit it, and coffee comes out. There's definitely could be an intense scene for a first-time viewer where there's a couple of kids that Peter does find, but they're already zombies, so he has to take care of them. I guess after that scene, from there, I did have to mention I do love the score of this movie. As I get older, I've always liked scores, but the older I get like nerdy about them because there's so many great scores. And Goblin did the score for Dawn of the Dead, and he does a lot of Italian scores, so you see why I love it.
Yeah,
because me with Italian stuff.
You're a little bit of a fan.
Just a little bit.
Just a touch.
I've dabbled.
Yeah.
It is here where they find the infamous mall after they take off and everything, and they're in the sky again for a while, and they start talking about like, oh, we could hold up in there. There's so much stuff that we could do in there. But they almost don't stop because there's so many of the like zombies and stuff. But they say they can't get up. They can't get up here, so they land on the roof, of course. From there, they basically get into a little area that, as the movie goes on, they end up turning into like a little makeshift apartment. And then Peter says there's an awful lot of stuff down there we could use. So him and Roger proceed to go downstairs to the mall. And they're going to the boiler room to find a giant ring of keys in an office and to walkie-talkies that they finally get down to the level where the mall is. There's many of them down there as well. Roger says, it's Christmas time, buddy. So they get the map to the mall. When they get the map to the mall, so then that just makes it much easier. I love some of the zombies that end up going on the jokes and the stupidity of some of this movie. It definitely has slapstick moments, and the escalator is one of them. Just watching the stupid zombies go up and down the escalator, and their stupid faces, like the one guy that for a while was doing conventions. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but when zombie people still do conventions, but his face going up and down the escalator, he just has this stupid face that always geeks me out. And then basically from there, let's see. Steven, I guess at that point, I think Steven ended up, because he was so tired and already fallen asleep. From there, Steven wakes up and proceeds to go downstairs because he hears gunshots and things. So he sees that they had turned on a bunch of power, and Peter and Roger are trying to get into the store and open the glass doors. They do fight some off, but they are able to get into the store. Once they're in the doors, they lock it and start going crazy and just getting a ton of shit they need and want as they proceed to just have a whole lot of fun. I love it at one point where Roger's running through the barricade. it is and is startled, and Roger just takes an axe. What I'm getting sidetracked here. Sorry. Again, I have a 6-year-old up. How are we going, Peter? He's like, how are we going to carry all this shit? And he's like, well, get a little wheelbarrow thing. He says, and oh sure, like we're going to get lit right away by him, but Peter has a plan. So they make a bunch of noise to get the zombies to one side, so they are able to get back upstairs, which seems to work flawlessly, at least this time. And then from there, Roger and Peter, after they are able to get upstairs and like with the wheelbarrow and everything, Steven is down around in the boiler room trying to figure out what they're doing, and there is a zombie in there that was a security guard, and this is, I believe, one of the first times, if not the first time, where we're able to see that Steven is not a good shot whatsoever. And the zombie ends up getting killed, but and then Steven comes face to face with it, and then he realizes he just wasted all of his bullets, so he proceeds to run off. And to get, but then the zombie tries to attack him, but he does get away. He's okay. He doesn't get bit or anything. And they're all trying to get back upstairs. They all proceed to fight off a lot of them, and Peter picks one up. I love that part when Peter picks one up and he throws it over the balcony. Peter tells Flyboy that don't go into the stairwell, they'll follow you. So he runs through them, and now they're trapped downstairs, at least for a little bit. Now they're all locked inside of one of the stores, and they proceed to run to the other side of the store and try the same distance with what happens here? Peter can't get clear of a shot. Okay. Anyway, I'll jump ahead a little bit. Fran is getting antsy upstairs when all this is happening because she doesn't know exactly what's happening. It's not like today where there might be cameras and she could look. She realizes that they still haven't come back yet. However, I don't know what you would call that zombie. I don't know what it's called, but a particular zombie ends up getting through Roger and Flyboy, like a Hare Krishna type zombie. I don't know what kind of zombie that is, but anyway, or like what he was as a person. So Fran barricades the door the best that she can, and also on their way up, Roger sees through the vent a gun store, and Peter says, "I've seen it. Let's keep going, so we know what we need and we can come back for that." And then from there, there's basically like quick cuts of what's going on with Fran, and then going back and forth with them. And they do finally get back upstairs. Let me see. I guess let me see. Debunk, so to speak, and bring all the stuff upstairs. Steven tries to tell her about the stuff, but she doesn't seem to care. Like at the moment, they're trying to tune in anything they can on a broadcast TV, and what else is really not much is really happening there. They're just trying to get tune in the TV, and they're throwing around a Jack Daniels bottle and things like that. When they do find a broadcast on TV, there's a man that is talking about the zombies. That is, and the first question is always, are these cannibals or are they not cannibals? Because it's cannibalism, but it's not technically cannibalism because they don't eat themselves. But they're people, so it was like what they were talking about. It was just like a gray area, so to speak. But there's some great lines there, like the one scientist, like he gets all intense because they're not listening to him. They must be destroyed on sight. I just love how he delivers the line. Sorry if I got a little jumbled in there again. Again, I had Corey, so it was like,
no worries.
shit, where am I? Let's see. The guys are outside looking at trucks to see if they can block entrances, figuring out a plan for that. as that proceeds to say that I'm sorry you found out that I missed one part that when they were talking, it turned out that Fran was pregnant, and I don't know if anybody really knew that she was except her, and that's how Steven found out. But yeah, Peter and Roger proceed to hotwire the trucks that are outside to get them to block the entrances. This is definitely a great scene, which does get intense because I love the line where right after Peter finds the walkies, I'm probably calling him the wrong thing. That what those are exactly? I guess they're walkie-talkies. I don't remember what they are. But they're getting all the trucks and everything, and I guess in the process, another one of the I'm probably jumping ahead, but another one of the scenes that always got me was the scene where Roger gets a bit cocky, I guess you would say, and he's like, "We got this by the ass." He's like, "Are you cool? Are you cool?" Because he gets a little crazy at that moment, and he ends up getting back in the truck, and then he freaks out with Peter and says that I forgot my bag, and he's like, "You need to get your head straight." But unfortunately, in one of my least favorite scenes, again, I'm sure I forgot some things, but as I said at the beginning, trying to give the cliff notes of the movie so I don't go through all the details. Plus, Dawn of the Dead is it's not a really long movie, but we're used to doing about an hour less of a movie, so I wanted to kind of get in everything that I could think of.
Yeah, and a lot happens in a short time in this one.
Oh man, it does. So like I said, I probably skipped a bunch of stuff, but I'm sure, again, a lot of people have seen Dawn of the Dead, I would think. But
yeah.
But yeah, the part that I'm talking about is right here where he goes back to get his bag, and he's proceeding to try to get his bag, but unfortunately he does get bit in the, what does he get bit first? I think in the leg, but then I think he gets bitten again in the arm at some point. But that was definitely an intense scene for me because he's like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, they just do what they can with him and get everything they can. They go like to the gun store and everything. I love all the shopping that they do, like the coffee scene where he gives him a little bag, and then Peter's like, "Ganja," and he has like a fucking, like, I don't know how many pounds, like, I'm probably exaggerating, but like an 80-pound bag of coffee. It's like, no, let's get this. Like, why that? But there's so many cool things going on at that point. But this is, I guess basically, without going into all the detail, like I said, I was gonna try. I'm rambling a bit, but it's just like you said, there's just so much going on, and there's so much to cover that I was like, I can't cover everything in Dawn of the Dead. But it's a fun movie, definitely. So, what are some other big things? They do end up, like, they do all that, and the scene right after Roger does get bit, he does say that we got a lot more work to do before you lose me, so let's just keep this going. But then it does get a bit sad when, like, he's in bed and stuff, and you can tell he's suffering and everything, and he does tell Peter, like, don't let me turn into one of those things, and unfortunately he does, and they hear Fran and Steven hear the shot when it happens. That was always an intense scene for me, because I mean, especially I've been watching this movie since, I don't know, when I was like younger than Corey, so even especially as a kid, like, oh wow, like, your favorite character, that sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely, I already said an intense scene, but just thinking about it is like reminiscent of that. So I guess after that happens, they do clear out the mall, um, and they put like a lot of the zombies in a freezer, um, and, and I think they do bury Roger, or Peter does, I think. Well, Fran and Steven have like a nice dinner or whatever. But so that's definitely an intense scene. Anyway, moving on to one of not really the final act of the movie, but as I said, I probably skipped a bunch of stuff, but you get the idea. You know where I'm at. You've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Now this is unfortunately when they get noticed by a gang of bikers, where and Tom Savini is one of the characters in one of his infamous scenes or roles, where they talk about like they see the helicopter on the roof, and at one point they do get on their CB or whatever and try to tell him like, oh, there's what, I don't remember what he said, but he's like, there's three of us, like. And then everybody starts screaming, and it's like, shut up! Like he was one of them that was trying to kind of keep peace.
Yeah.
But that I always thought that scene was funny. We don't like people that don't share. You just fucked up real bad, he says. And then you see all the bikes coming down, and they watch them from the roof. And I remember Peter saying like, yeah, three, like whatever he said, like, yeah, three of you guys, huh? And they were like, holy shit, because even watching the movie, like, how many is there?
Yeah.
So Peter has a plan to shut the gates and try to see if they can make it so and they don't know that the bikers, once the bikers have proceeded, all the zombies that they ended up like blocking with the trucks, all their work just went out the window because the zombies start coming in, and they try their best, and at first it's almost like, can they keep themselves hidden? Like they know they're there, but they don't know where they are. And then the bikers are just going in, like, just some of the dumbest shit that they like take is just funny to me. Like, or the guy and he actually did it. So I'm like, even at that time, I'd be like, what a waste of a TV. Do you remember the dude that had like, he had a TV in his hand, like a smaller TV, and somebody's like, what the hell are you going to do with that? So he throws it, but then he takes a sledgehammer and one of those old floor models and just puts the sledgehammer through the tube of the TV. I'm like, why? And that got me thinking, how many of these were props and how many of these were things in the mall, like, that they had to pay for? But yeah, they end up, like I said, they end up getting in, and it just goes crazy. What's another ridiculous scene? Like they're the jewelry, they're taking off the one zombie that has all this like gaudy jewelry on, and they're like just ripping it off or like cutting pieces off her to get her jewelry. That's so silly. But one of them does finally see, because I can't remember who shot first, but somebody shot, and that's how they ended up seeing where they are. But I think it might have been Flyboy. What was another good part in here where I didn't mention this before. That is one part that I skipped that has nothing really to do with the movie. I just got a kick out of it. Was where Peter and Steven, I believe, and when they're robbing the bank, so to speak, and they like pose for a picture with the money, and then I love after that where they still walk through like the barricade thing like you would in regular time at the bank, where there's like the little almost like when you're going on a roller coaster where there's that little taped off thing for the line. I just thought that funny. Like, you could just go under, but I don't know why that's funny. It was a little thing. But anyway, I thought of it because that was one of the things that the bikers did. Like they're getting all the money and everything.
But they still follow some of the rules.
Yeah. like everything's still, yeah, exactly. And then what was there was another good Tom Savini line that is probably wouldn't fly today, but it was still funny. It's not. I don't consider it like personally a racist thing, but somebody listening might. But just the silly line that when Tom Savini saw Peter and he sees he's in like the vent and he's like, "I see you, chocolate man." I'm like, what?
God.
What are some other good things that I loved? One of my all-time favorite ones is the blood pressure. That's just so stupid. The guy just keeps trying to take his fucking blood pressure. And then he finally technically does get to take his blood pressure, but the zombies attack him and they rip off his arm, and then it beeps and it's beep and it's all zeros. And I always thought that was really silly. Another thing I noticed on this that you can tell it was Tom Savini and his effects. Not that they weren't great, but in his infancy, like the color of them it seemed a little off. Maybe it's because they weren't dead for as long. I'm not sure, but you can definitely tell over time. It's like night and day, like no pun intended, of the effects in Dawn and the effects in Day. Like Day is probably, other than definitely a few other movies around the same time, like when Tom Savini did The Prowler or The Burning, like Tom was firing on all cylinders at that time, and his effects were absolutely amazing and just looked completely realistic.
Yeah. Well, I read one thing that said for the color he tried to go for more of like a gray zombie, but on film it turned out more like a blue green. And he said that was like one of the big things he was disappointed in.
Yeah, definitely, because after it just like, oh, that didn't look right.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, it's when Peter says, "Now we've got a war," so they have to try to do everything they possibly can to protect what they have. Flyboy tries to get a hold of Peter, but he doesn't answer. Fran's still upstairs listening to all this. Sadly, Flyboy is on top of the elevator, in like the shaft, because he gets up there to see what he can. I don't remember why he got up there actually, and the bikers end up shooting through, and they do hit him in the arm. He once he gets shot in the arm, from that point I can't remember exactly how he ended up back in the elevator itself, but he does, and he ends up getting like bit, and it's an interesting turn because it's one of those where I love the scene where the zombies are waiting outside the elevator, and because they know he was in there, but he's in like the front of the elevator now when the door's open, and he's turned, and the zombies kind of like, oh, like almost have a weird like, oh, never mind kind of moment because he's a zombie. That was definitely another intense scene. Something I always see that I've never mentioned to anybody, I don't think, but every time I see it, I'm like, he totally does. It's not him, but it totally does. There's a particular zombie that he ends up falling over, and he's one of the zombies that try to get through the door like, he looks like, to me anyway, I could be completely delusional, but he looks like a really, really, really skinny Dennis Leary. It's not, because this is 1978, keep in mind. But
yeah.
It looks like him to me. Anyway. Where are we here? Peter tries to get Steven back upstairs, and he tries to get through the elevator again. But, oh yeah, I did say that. And then Peter makes his way upstairs, and of course Fran could just tell in her face that tell in his face that Steven's gone. A bit of time passes, and Fran says, "It's almost light. Let's go, Peter." And he continues to wait because he feels that he may come back up, because at this point they don't know. They think he did, but they're not 100% sure. But of course he doesn't. Well, he does in a way, because he ends up leading the zombies up there because being freshly dead, he's still remembering things from when he was alive. And I love the scene where they put up the like drywall, and he's like eating the drywall to get through it, like when once he's a zombie. And yeah, at this point, the zombies have completely taken over the mall. Fran proceeds to leave. All this is happening, and they do get upstairs, and Fran proceeds to leave to go up the ladder, and Peter says, "No, I'm like basically like I'm not going." He's gonna try to fight him off. At least that's what he tells Fran, and he does have a moment of weakness where he's like, "I'm overpowered. I can't do anything," and it looks like he's going to shoot himself, which is kind of a bit of a precursor to Day, which we'll get into, but Day is a much darker movie that I'll also get into. But anyway, Fran does get up to the roof and turns on the helicopter. Peter's still inside and tries to lure them into one of the areas. And this is where, like I said, he puts the gun up to his head. Zombie rushes up to the helicopter, and all the while fighting him off. Zombies are climbing up the ladder. And at this point, Peter kind of just springs into action and like kicks him and like rips him off, and he grabs onto the helicopter, and he's hanging a little bit, and he does get into the helicopter, and it's not a huge line, but I do love the line where it's total like reality, like it felt like in reality, like that's, I don't know, that's kind of how you would take it, where he says, how much fuel do we have? And Fran says, not much. And Peter just says, all right. And then you cue that song at the end. It's so ridiculous, almost like which reminds me, I did forget to mention, I was going to, and then like we broke off, the stupid pie moments where the pie in the face and like
God,
it's like the seltzer water and stuff. Anyway, and then you cue that music, which gets stuck in my head for days, which is going to happen even though I didn't watch it. I apologize that this episode was a little choppy, and I was trying to go from memory and try something different. I'm going to do my best on the next one, but I guess this is where we usually say what we think the starring is, which I could be wrong, but I have a pretty good feeling we'll be in agreement of what the starring is, but I obviously give 5 out of 5 star. But
5 out of 5, no doubt.
And it's definitely, at least I would guess for you too, but at least for me, a movie where no matter how many times you watch it, it doesn't lose its like charm, and it's just an amazing movie.
Yeah.
It's not just a horror movie. It's an amazing movie. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm sorry I was kind of jumping all over the place, and then the computer was like, no, fuck you. You suck. But yeah. I have I guess a few facts that I'll go through at the end, and then we'll call it a podcast, as we say. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to mention before that, but
no, I really don't have much. It's just
okay.
All around, it's just such a great film.
And
it's fun. It has some cheesy moments, but they're still like, I don't know, they just kind of work for some reason.
Yeah, definitely. That's good to say to somebody that, I mean, I look at this movie like, how could you not have seen it if you're a horror fan? But there's new horror fans every day.
Yeah.
So this would definitely be, and I think you would agree, if somebody was to ask, what's a good zombie movie to start with or something, it would definitely be Night, but just watch the 3 movies, really, because it's just a great movie. It just is.
I think if you like Night, Dawn, Day, you have a good good taste. Like, you can kind of pick the good zombie movies from there and weed out all the like just trash.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, even for me, as the older I get, there's even room for trash sometimes.
Yeah.
but yeah, if you want a good zombie movie of zombies that don't eat fucking brains, then this is a good movie to do that with. And I'm not poking fun at Return of the Living Dead. I'm poking at fun of the stupid people that think they know what they're talking about and they don't.
Yeah.
And it probably just offended people, but I don't care. It's just words. Get over it. Anyway. Put on a little rant there. Anyway, the scene between Roger and Peter in the trucks when they're kidding around with each other is entirely improvised by the actors. Like, it's just shit they just came up with.
Cool.
Extras who appeared in the movie were reportedly giving $1 in cash, a donut, and a Dawn of the Dead t-shirt.
I would be down for that.
Me too. Yeah. I'd be like, are you sure you don't have to give me all that? I'll just take shirt.
The shirt? I'm good.
I did mention this before. If anybody is looking to buy Dawn of the Dead, like, again, if you're new to it, or if you just haven't bought it, if you can get a hold of that Anchor Bay set, it's great. It's still a DVD, but honestly, I think it looks almost like it's so damn close to HD quality. It still looks great, and which says a lot, because some DVDs, once I rewatch them, especially if you watch them like on an HD TV, they don't look all that great. But they did a great job when they put out that set. A couple other little things. George was introduced to Goblin, who I said did the score, who was an Italian band who did soundtracks for a number of horror movies through Dario Argento. Dario Argento I did not mention. He was the producer, but he also did a cut of his own for Dawn of the Dead. There's quite a few different cuts. That's another thing I should probably mention. There's the theatrical cut. There's the extended cut, the one I usually watch. I will say in the extended cut, I did realize really early on, but the whole Goblin soundtrack is not in the extended cut. The extended cut was actually the original cut that George used to like show people, basically, to try to get distribution and things like that, I guess. Before he really put in the music from Goblin. There is definitely cues in there from Goblin, but a lot of it is what they call library tracks, which Night of the Living Dead, I believe, was entirely library tracks for their score. Let's see. Tom Savini recollects the stunt of diving through a window. The glass was much thinner on one end than the other, and it was like angled as such that he drove through the thicker part. The part where Tom Savini drove through 2 inches, it was like a 2-inch thick glass. He hurt his knee. The only part that wasn't completely padded over when he did the scene, and that fall that he did also is obviously him, because he does stunts too. And even back then, they probably didn't have a lot of stunt people. It was pretty much you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tom Savini had a crew of 8 who had to apply makeup to 200 extras.
Jeez.
Let's see. When Peter is attacked by the 2 zombie children in the hangar office, actor Ken Fore's reaction is authentic. He was not told that the zombie children would be attacking him. He was legitimately shocked by what had happened.
Right on.
There's a little tidbit here. There's a little Easter egg in disc 4, Document of the Dead, in the Ultimate DVD box, the Ultimate Edition DVD set. Basically, I don't know if people are too technical, but I mean, it's basically a hidden menu. It's a shape of a corpse on the screen, and you just click on that and you get a little extra thing.
Nice.
I don't remember exactly how you get there, but it's not hard. I remember doing Easter eggs. You basically just keep hitting up, keep hitting down, keep hitting over, whatever to get to it. That doesn't really have to do with the movie, but I thought it was interesting. But yeah, all the different cuts definitely were different lengths and things like that. A couple last things I want to mention. Bands that do like samples, especially like metal bands and stuff. I always love that in their music, like samples from a movie. The White Zombie song "Grease Paint and Monkey Brains" samples the Dawn of the Dead, the line from Dawn of the Dead. There's a lot of people who are running now. I could run, man. There's a lot of people who are running now. It's time. It's right to run, and that was from Welcome to Planet. Also, I should say Welcome to Planet Motherfucker from White Zombie. That the line that says "Get up and kill" is from that. And then, the band Mortician also had stuff, and there's just a lot of cool stuff. I could go on all day about this movie, and maybe we'll do a little bit better one down the road. But this is what we have now. I figure we just do a quick, fun one.
Yeah.
And I rambled a bit. I jumbled my words a bit, but I did the best I could with what I had, and have a 6-year-old that taps on my shoulder every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I guess the being a dad is the first and foremost, so you'll have that. If there's anything else you want to mention, cool. If not, we'll call it a podcast.
No, I definitely, if anybody has time, check out IMDb, because the trivia on this is crazy. Like 149 different pieces of trivia. Yeah,
definitely. Hey, if you want, I had some of them written down, but I was kind of running through. Say a couple of them at the end if you don't mind, and we'll have a couple more cool trivia things on here.
Yeah. It's filmed over a period of 4 months.
Yep.
Trying to find some interesting ones.
Right.
This one says, "Why the pie fight?" And this is George Romero. He said, "Hey, we've got to have a pie fight in this." Chris remembers fighting with George about this because of how stupid she found it. A shot of George and Chris running through the scene as a mall Santa and an elf zombie, respectively, was cut. Chris says she blocked this out, so he's
that's great.
Kind of a goof, I guess.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. And then, this one, I saw this one earlier. I thought this was kind of cool. It's included among the 1001 movies you must see before you die, which I definitely agree.
Okay.
I think that's a good one.
Definitely. I would even reduce it even more than that if you were to, like, it can even be in a much shorter list.
Yeah.
Let's see. I probably have had a few more too, just to throw in there. But I think we covered some good stuff. And if you're interested in more stuff, go check that out. Like you said, the IMDb. So yeah, that was a choppy one, so to speak. I guess that's the best way I can say it. But hopefully it will come out good between the different parts and stuff when we're editing it together, so to speak. But yeah, overall it was fun. It's always fun, I think, when we're doing it. I did want to mention one quick thing, that the line, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth." George Romero came up with that line basically while drinking. He just said, as catchy and unforgettable it is, Romero doesn't recall any grand moment of inspiration. He was just drunk one night trying to get a script finished, and that's why it just came out.
Right on.
He just said, he goes on to say, "I just made that up. Truly, as I said, on a drunken night, I was really crashing to finish the script, and I thought that was just nice. It was from something Dario Argento told him. My family," he said, "my family in Cuba," and Dario said, "Well, have a Caribbean background, and that's why you're into the zombie thing. Zombies originally originated in I don't know what that says, in Haiti. It's probably something much similar. Haiti. Duh, I can't read, so
that's okay.
I watch horror movies and I can do math, but I can't read. But basically, it just stemmed like from voodoo and things like that, which George Romero does not get into with his zombies. Those are not his. They're not like voodoo. However, the as I said, the Dario Argento cut doesn't go into voodoo, but he does do the Italian cut. He did the Italian cut, which means that's what led to Zombie 2, which we had covered on the podcast, Lucio Fulci's Zombie or Zombie 2, and so on. But that's why that is. So technically, Dawn of the Dead is really an unofficial beginning of the zombie movie. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, we've rambled on. I've said a lot, but we'll just call it a podcast, and we'll move on from here. So
right.
if you're good with that, this has been the Horror of It All movie podcast. Until next time.